Hello. So in today's video, I wanted to run through 5 of my favourite mobility drills that I do with absolutely every single client that I work with, whether that's in person, whether it's the free workshops that I do, or whether it's online. Over the last couple of years, I've had the pleasure of working with well over 300 people now, and albeit every single person, we all have our own unique niggles and tightness and stiffness because we all live a unique lifestyle. However, there is common areas from the head all the way to the toe that I see where people have the most amount of tightness. So let's get into 5 of my favourite drills. So the first exercise we're going to go over requires a resistance band. However, if you do not have a resistance band, you can just imitate the movement. It's still good to move our body. After all, motion is lotion. So we're going to start with the resistance band. It doesn't matter which resistance band you have. Well, I tell a lie, if you've got like a green resistance band that's super thick, you might want to drop it to the thinnest one possible. The good thing about thin resistance bands is we can modify the resistance depending on how close we hold it. The closer we hold it, the harder it gets as we move through this motion. And if it becomes too challenging to keep our arms straight, we can sort of walk our arms out like so. Now, this exercise is called up and overs. It's great for our shoulders, great for the upper part of the back. What you want to do is kind of keep the core somewhat engaged, so kind of squeeze your abs a little bit and think about keeping your arms as straight as possible as they start to open up. Now, as you're moving through this, slow and steady does win the race. This may be an exercise that you see a lot of people doing in the gym and they're just winging themselves through it as quick as they can. But nice and slow, think about what's going on. One of my biggest frustrations with like mobility or warm-up drills is people will just go through the motion without actually thinking about what's going on. They'll be chatting away to their friend and just sort of moving their body. But I want you to visualize every tiny little muscle that's in your back, in your shoulder, in your body, and think about that contracting and squeezing. So that is your up and overs. It doesn't matter how many reps you do, in all honesty. I always like to say to my clients, try and get above 10 to 15 reps at least, because you'll find that as you do that nice and slowly, you'll start to feel a bit of a burn, all the blood going into the muscles that we're using. And yeah, it feels a bit stiff, but it also feels quite nice. So as I said, if you don't have a resistance band, that's totally okay. You can drop that on the floor and you can just pretend that you're holding a band, bringing your arms up, bringing them back behind you as best you can. Once you're at the bottom, back up and over, and you'll be very surprised that just by the art of visualizing what you're doing, how good that can feel for your body. Okay, so next drill is the band pull-aparts. Again, the closer we hold this, the harder it becomes. So you want to kind of put your arms out in front of you, and rather than thinking about your elbows being bent, you want to try and pull from your shoulder joint. So what that looks like is, you can see my pinkies here, I'm going to pull all the way out so the band hits the upper part of my chest and it comes forward. Hopefully that doesn't come up in the mic, but so again, making sure that we're rotating our pinkies out, keep our elbows up nice and high, don't let them drop down. Elbows up nice and high, pulling the band apart, back and front. So you're kind of pulling it into your collarbone, that's totally okay to do. What you don't want to do is sort of pull it down towards there. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but it's not the drill that we're looking to do. You're going to feel a nice little burn on the back of the arms. Oh, and that's when you know you're kind of hitting the right spot. So keeping the elbows up high, pulling out and back. Again, same sort of rep range, anywhere from 10 to 15, but ultimately do as many as you feel. Okay, so already by now you should start to feel a good wee bit of a burn in the shoulders. That means the blood is reaching that part of the body's feeling good. What I will say at this part, if you deal with any sort of chronic pain, I want you to imagine like the rev limiter on a car. Let's say that maxes out at 10, and that limiter represents your body's pain threshold. You don't want to go up past a 6. So let's say you bring your arm up to above your head and you get this excruciating pain like a 9 out of 10. Well, in that drill that we just done before, what you'd want to do is just kind of bring it up to where you have access of range of motion without too much pain. And what you'll find is over time, you'll start to feel a little bit better. Okay, so that does it for the resistance band. That kind of takes care of the upper part of the body. We start to move our way down and we're starting to work on our spine, our thoracic mobility it's referred to. In everyday life, we do very little twisting. So let me take you into my favorite drill for that. So you want to get on all fours. This exercise is called thread the needle. No idea who makes up these names, but here, we're with it now. So what we're going to do is imagine a little square, okay? Hands are in front of our chest. You're going to take one hand and you're going to slide it through. But what you want to avoid doing is reaching out that little box. You try to think about twisting your body into the ground. So whatever hand you take, I'm going to go with my right. I'm going to start sliding that through. And the goal is to try and get that right shoulder down into the ground as best we can. Still going off the theme as before, if we find anything too tight, don't worry about not going all the way down. Everyone's going to be different. Everyone's going to have access to different range of motion. Go where you feel comfortable. Hold it for 3 seconds, and then you're going to pull out. And this time you're going to reach back and pull your wrist as far back as you can, and try and look at your pinky. And again, hold that for 3 seconds. We're going to come down, and then we're going to swap over to the other side. Totally normal to feel that one side is a lot easier than the other. That's just because naturally throughout everyday movement, we're always taking our dominant side, or our dominant side is engaged with more lifestyle activities than our non-dominant side. So again, hands in front of our chest, on all fours, try to create some sort of tabletop with our back. Take our left hand, we're not sliding through, but we're twisting down towards the ground. Palm is down on the ground. Once we've twisted as far as we can, we then try and walk our fingers through as best we can. Hold it for 3, 2, 1, and then you're going to slide back out. Pulling the wrist all the way up. Hold it for a couple of seconds again. 2, 3, and then back down. That counts as 1. When I've done this in the past, when I've ran mobility workshops, anywhere from 3 to 10, you'll find that you start to get this real nasty pump. You feel all the blood sort of rushing in to the upper part of your back, and it will feel quite nice. You'll feel kind of loosey-goosey, or whatever the phrase is. So let's do one more. We're going to take a right hand this time, and you'll find after doing a couple of reps, you'll be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more mobile, so you'll be able to get deeper and deeper into the stretch. Don't forget to breathe through some of these exercises that might be more challenging than the other. 3, 2, 1, reaching back out, pulling up, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we'll do one more on the left hand. Take that through, slide it under, making sure that this hand doesn't slide all the way up. You want to kind of sort of keep that in front of the shoulder. When you start to twist round, you can bend it, but keep that hand connected. Try and get that shoulder down as low as possible. Walking the fingers through, getting the hand down on the ground. 3, 2, 1, back up. Holding for 3, 2, 1. If I'm doing this exercise as part of a warm-up, I'll do this for 6 on both sides, and I find my upper body is good to go. So that takes care of the upper body more or less. We're going to make our way down towards the hips. This exercise is called your 90-90s, and it's been a staple through every single client that I've had over the last couple of years. Every one of us deals with some sort of tightness in and around the hips, and I find this one is one of the best to kind of get in and get in that area, feeling a little bit less tight and feeling a little bit more mobile. So 90-90 refers to the 90-degree bend on our front leg and our back leg. Once we're sorted in this position, you might find that your leg lifts off the floor. So with your mind, you're trying to drive that leg down into the ground, almost like you're trying to push it through the floorboards. Keep your chest up nice and strict, and then lean over as best you can. Hold that for 3 seconds at the bottom, and then come back up at the top. You're going to do this for about 6 to 8 reps. Again, leaning over as best you can, hold it for a couple of seconds, and then back up. Once you've done one side, swap over to the other side. And again, you might find some discrepancies from one side to the other. As you can see here, my left leg comes off the floor way more than my right leg. So keeping your chest up nice and tall, don't be afraid to use that arm on the left-hand side, and then drive that leg down, lean over as best you can, hold for a couple of seconds, and then back up, and just repeat the process for a couple of reps. Okay, so last drill in the 5 drill series is we're moving our way down to our ankles. This one's called the combat stretch. A couple of ways you can do this one, but the main thing is that your foot's fully planted on the ground. With your knee, you're trying to envision that driving as far as you can over your toes while keeping your heel down in the ground as best as possible, okay? Now, wherever you put this foot will depend on where you feel this stretch. If you've got kind of tighter hips, putting the foot further out in front of you, you'll start to feel that in there. If you feel that your ankles are a wee bit tight, Bring that in nice and close, and you'll feel it more on the kind of back of the calf, down in the ankle. Nice wee rule of thumb, if you don't care where to do this, make sure the shin's more or less vertical, and then from there, drive the knee as far as you can over the toes, hold it for 3 seconds, 2, 1, and then pulse back. Again, I like to refer to these as pulses, I guess. You want to do about 6 to 8 pulses. Do more if you want to do more. But again, envisioning what's going on, think about that heel driving down the ground, grabbing the ground, and then pulsing back. Once we've finished up on one side, we swap to the other side, and then just repeat that process until we feel that we can feel things start to waken up and warm up. So that is one of my favourite mobility drills to warm up for exercising. I also really like to do these drills on my off days and get clients to do it in their off days because there's no harm. You generally can't overtrain mobility within reason, which is a good thing. So the more you do, the kind of freer your body's going to feel. So let us know if you've got any questions and I'll be happy to answer them. But until next time, enjoy this video.